Hello there. It's Hazer here. Roster breakdown time. The Tartarus Titans. That's going to be tough to say on cast. Tartarus Titans, Tartarus Titans, Tartarus Titans. Yeah, it's already difficult for me. But yeah, sorry for the little break I had between the roster breakdowns. Some stuff came up, been pretty busy, unexpectedly so. I mean, I still had time to do it. I wanted some leisure time as well. But now I got my evenings a little bit more free, and I'm back to recording content for you, and finally going to get around to these last few teams. Tartarus Titans, anyway. You have Benji in the solo lane, Scary D in the jungle, unless he changes his name again to Bel Air or something. Maybe he goes back now that he's won Worlds as both. Anyway, Paul in the mid lane, not me, the good Paul. Aror support, CycloneSpin ADC, and Cherryo coach. Okay, so obviously we still got the trio from Radiance, last year Cyclone, Aror, and Benji all played together last season. Scary and Paul played together last season, won Worlds on the Pittsburgh Knights, and Cherryo coming in, retiring as a player, not able to continue living in the US as he needs to finish university. I guess we could start with Cherry. Okay, let's start with Cherry. Start from the coach for once, like they're important. I've worked with Cherry, so I think I can actually maybe give a decent bit of an insight as to how he'll be as a coach and what he'll do and what he'll do well and what he might not do so well, if there's anything that comes to mind. But first of all, we'll talk about why he moved into the coach role. So his parents didn't want him to move to the US at all at any point, really. But he was allowed to. He wanted to try and win Worlds and keep going. He wasn't supposed to stay more than 1 year, stayed 2 years. But he has to go back and finish uni now. And in Egypt, when you get to a certain age, or I don't know how it works. I think it's when he finishes university, he has to do some kind of military service. And you're not allowed to leave the country once you're less than a year or less than 6 months away from starting that military service, which is the point which Cherry's gone to, which means he will not be able to travel to lands, I don't think. I don't think he'll be able to travel outside of Egypt. I think they're worried in case people do a runner, basically, to avoid doing their military service. So that's one thing to touch on. Cherry as a player was always he thinks about the game a lot, and he puts a lot of time and effort into the game. I found when I teamed with him, he was always willing to discuss things, and he has strong opinions that I think are mostly correct. I think Cherry thinks about the game well and a lot and is very intelligent, and so I think he'll bring a lot in the coach role. I think for me it's also a good idea that he's split off from people who he's teamed with before. I think there was a danger if Cherry, for example, went back to coach Dardes, Nika, and Vote on their new roster. Maybe it would have been, they might not have listened to him, basically. It was maybe too much of a fun relationship, too much of a, those guys would kind of mess about too much and not respect him as much as perhaps is necessary to respect a coach, I think. Someone like Cherry, anyway. So yeah, I kind of like that he's made this switch. It's a strange one. It's one I didn't see coming. Cherry ending up teaming with 5 guys who he's had basically not too much to do with over his career, as far as I'm concerned. I didn't know he was particularly good pals with these guys. I could see Cherry and Aror getting on really well, but as far as I'm aware, they didn't speak that much. I don't know though. I think they're quite similar in the way that they think about the game, which I think will work out well. I think these two will bounce off of each other pretty well. But yeah, I like Cherry coming into this role. I feel like he'll put the work in. I wonder how the hours will be for him. Obviously, the time difference between Egypt and Atlanta, probably not insignificant. I'd say, I'm trying to think, how's my geography on this one? What is it going to be, 6 hours? If I had to guess, could be 7, could be 5. I'd say 6 is my estimate, though. It is quite, maybe it is 7. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Either way, it's going to be crappy hours for Cherry a little bit if he wants to attend and watch every scrim, depending on how the scrim scheduling goes for next year. So that's something to think about. and the fact that he can't travel to lands might be a detriment to his team. Depending on how they set up comms and stuff like that for SPL and how these events go, it is always nice to just be there in person, be able to sit everybody down and chat in a room. Having to always be wired up or have people talking on the phone or whatever is a bit of a detriment to your team. But I'm sure it's something they'll be able to work through. The other big switch for this team is Scary D going from solo lane for the Pittsburgh Knights into the jungle. He just wins worlds twice in a row on a roll, and he goes, you know what? I'll move to the jungle. I actually think it was more of an enforced change once the roster apocalypse kind of took its grip. You saw Scary basically tweeting out LFT, showing he didn't have a solid spot on a team, and I imagine he has kind of done this. He hasn't planned to do this. He's kind of done this out of seeing it as the best opportunity for him. But he's been on the grind, Scary, and I think he's capable of switching roles. I mean, he's putting the effort in and the time to playing a new role. Maybe it'll even spur him on to do even better things. I don't know what you could do better than winning worlds twice in a row. I guess winning worlds 3 times in a row would be pretty good. Never before seen feat, which is also the link to my OnlyFans. But Scary gonna be moving into the jungle. He's been grinding the game in Season 8. He's played, at least in the first couple weeks, he played an unenviable amount of ranked. He was on it. He was on the grind. So I'm interested to see how he does there. He's always been capable of playing assassins and stuff like that. Very good mechanical player, Scary. I guess the difference is going to be when you play jungle as opposed to solo in comp, your comms are a lot more important through the early mid game, I'd say. Late game, it's not too much of a difference. I don't know how much Scary called for his old teams. It's that kind of stuff. A lot of it's guesswork, but you've got to say that his calling will have to change and probably he'll have to call more alongside in his core of Scary, Paul, and Aror. So we'll see how that goes. That might be the biggest, probably the second biggest switch up for him after the actual ability to play the role. But yeah, I'm excited to see Scary playing there. Benji in solo, he's still Benji, baby. Another fantastic Worlds performance out of Benji. I thought he just shows up when it matters, I think. Benji can have some lackluster games throughout the season, but I feel like in big games, when it matters, when you need him, he's there. He's always there. He's always looking like one of, if not the best solo laner in the world at like a big event, I feel like. So yeah, no complaints about Benji, and I feel like Scary was better suited to the role swap as well, which I guess is something. I don't know if they considered this. Maybe they considered putting Benji jungle, Scary solo, but I think Scary is probably better suited to role swapping. I think he plays. Again, it's kind of guesswork on this because Benji might play on Smurfs, etc. I think he is rumored to do so, but I imagine Scary plays a little bit more of the game, and maybe, I don't know. I love Benji's attitude and playstyle for solo. I think he's unbelievably suited to the role, and maybe Scary could be a bit more flexible on that. Paul in the mid lane, coming off of the performance of his life out of Worlds, everybody clamoring for him to get MVP. Not too happy with the fact Neil got it. I think, yeah, you're probably right. Paul did deserve MVP, but Neil was great too. But what else is there to say? Paul's gonna continue to do Paul things. He's been doing it for years. He is probably the undisputed best mid laner in the world right now. Hard to pick anybody over him after that World's performance. He was outstanding. Everything he touches from the mid to the late game kind of turns to gold and turns to wins for his team. So yeah, Paul, great pickup. I'm excited to see how he does in this new core alongside Aror. Aror, the general. Aror and CycloneSpin sticking together, which is cool to see. I think they had some hiccups in the duo lane, actually. I think towards the start of last season, they were maybe the worst duo lane. I mean, Inbound and Wowie were pretty bad as well. But Aror and Cyclo were really struggling for a while. I remember it well. I remember they just kept dying. But they pulled it together towards the end of the season and again displayed their usual excellence. I think these two they're a good combo. I think Aror I really like him as an influence on a team. To me, he strikes me as somebody, very positive person, very a very good leader as well. You're never going to have problems teaming with Aurora, I feel like. You're never going to fall out with him. That's the impression I get from him anyway. I've always liked speaking to Aurora. And Cyclone's just going to do his thing in the ADC role. He's an incredible mechanical player. Has the ability to innovate as well. We can see him picking weird picks and doing well on them. I think he has that, I don't want to call it arrogance, but it almost is. He has that swagger that is a lot of the time reserved to solo lane and ADC players, I feel like, where you kind of have to feel like you're better than the other guy. And I think Cyclone has that for sure. And it shows in his gameplay, I think. Why am I wearing my headset, by the way? Who knows? Oh, it is what it is. I've committed to it now. There's no sound coming out of them, but they're on. Anyway, yeah, have I talked about everything I wanted to talk about with this team? Don't know what their living situation is going to be like. Obviously, Cherryo won't be there for the reasons I've touched on before. I would imagine the other 5 might get a team house together, but they've all lived away from home before, right? They've all done this already. I think they're likely to get along fairly well. Tartarus Titans, kind of lame name, kind of lame logo in my opinion. The Titans might be okay, but I'm not a big fan. I need to get on it and do some sort of team name / logo reviews / power rankings for the teams as well. I got so much stuff that I can do. I'm working on, okay, promise. But that's going to be it for the Titans. Please don't make me say Tartarus Titans ever. At least not under pressure. Imagine you're in a Worlds cast and you've got to say, oh, the Tartarus Titans are looking for the end. Okay, I did it, but, you know, it scares me. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the delay in getting this one out once again. Hopeful to get all 3 of the remaining ones recorded this evening, so they should be coming to you guys drip fed over the next few days. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment if you got anything to say about this team. I think this will be, a lot of people will be rooting for this team, and I think this will be highly rated in a lot of people's estimations. It is in mine anyway. So yeah, do the stuff, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio. Bye. Bye. Bye.